This time going to kind of focus on some of the rules and strategy. Today I'm going to be talking about lineup selection, which is arguably one of the most important parts of the game, with the limited number of substitutions in soccer that are allowed. Getting the right lineup and feel to the game is important. So a couple of ways I've done that in past projects I've been working on. Some have gone strictly from the real life lineups, and here after the stream I'll share a couple of sources that are very helpful. One is footballlineups.com, football with a hyphen in between lineups.com. Another one I use is soccerway.com. Both are very good with able to find past lineups that were used in reality. Today I'm going to be showing you the starting lineup selection for my 2015-16 EPL project co-op. This is the year that you recall Leicester City came out of nowhere and was the miracle champions, if you will. Big fan of that, just from the drama and the surprise factor, and then kind of supplementing that playing with my favorite team, Manchester United. So I'm doing a replay called the Foxes and Red Devils replay. So far 5 weeks in, and Leicester City undefeated with a perfect 5-0-0 record. Today they'll be going up against Stoke City in round 6. Stoke so far 2 wins, a draw, and a couple of losses. So like I said, we're going to just kind of focus on the starting lineup process for today's game. So show you a couple of ways that I've done that, or at least one that I've kind of adopted as of late. Going to just do the lineup selection part, and then I'll play out the game off camera today, and kind of give you some feedback on what happened. But I didn't come up with this idea on my own, but maybe I've made some slight revisions. Can't remember exactly where I saw this, but it kind of piggybacks with the rules in Keith's rules relating to the start ratings. So here for Leicester City, we're going to sort all their players by their start ratings. First with the check pluses, here's a check column, Shinji Okazaki. So I'm just going to sort all of those out. Here's an X for Nathan Dyer, another check. And then we got some blank start ratings here for Richie Delat, and an X for Damari Gray. And so based on the rules, anyone with a check plus can start every game. So basically this process I'm going to show you here will develop your starting lineup pool, and then from that pool you get to kind of actually select as the manager who you want to start. So all of the players with check plus, they're eligible to start every game, so they're automatically in the pool. Doesn't mean you have to start them, but they'll be in the starting lineup options, if you will. Oh, had a Christian Fuchs there in the wrong pool. So then these players have a check rating, which by the rules they can start with everything but a 6. Excuse me. So 1 to 5 dice roll, and they can start a 6, and they can't. So I'm just going to take to keep it simple here. Roll 1 by 1 for each guy. So we'll restack them up. As long as they don't get a 6, they're eligible to start. So we'll just go 1 by 1 through it. Leonardo Ulloa got a 1, so he's good to go. Okazaki got a 6, so because of that, he's not eligible to start. A little banged up, you can pretend. Danny Simpson got a 3, so he's eligible. Andy King with a 5, so he's eligible. Jeffrey Schlup with a 3, so he is eligible. So all those guys are good to go. Now we'll move on to those with a blank. Only one on this team for Leicester City, and when they have a blank start rating, like Richie Delat here, it's a 1 to 3 roll to make him eligible to start. So we got a 5. He is not eligible, so we'll put him over here with Okazaki. And now moving on to the X ratings, these guys have to get a 1 in order to be eligible to start. So Damari Gray with a 6. He's not eligible. Gokun Inler with a 3. Not eligible. Nathan Dyer with a 3. Not eligible. So all those guys are not eligible to start. And now we'll go to our pool and basically pick our 11 players. Obviously, we need a goalie. And as part of this process, I like to kind of sort them out by position. So I'll just do that. And then guys like Uloa here who have multiple positions, I'll kind of put them in between, which I'll show you in a minute here. Jamie Vardy, another one of those, and here's our goalie. So there were no true only forwards here, but so we've got 2 midfielder and forwards, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight up midfielders, and 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders. So a total of 6 plus 4, so 12 field players that I'll need to choose 10 of those, plus Kasper Schmeichel will be our goalie for the day. So we'll go ahead and move in here, and I'm kind of making out my score sheet with the lineup as we go. So of these 12, I'm going to have to rest 2. Again, this kind of manager's choice, depending on what you feel like. I'm going to go Vardy and Uloa, both as forwards. And as part of this, I'm declaring their positions. For the formational purposes, if you care about those kind of things. And then also later on in the game, which will come to play with the substitution process. So we're going to start both Vardy and Uloa, and I will put them in position 1. And then we're going to try to kind of find the best players that you want, but you also want to think through possibly leaving a good player on the bench for a late substitution, relating to the qualities they have, as well as perhaps a symbol. So I'm going to go with Mahrez, Drinkwater, Albrighton, and Conte. And I think I'm going to leave King and Schlupp on my bench today. So we'll put Mahrez. He's an attack-minded player in the position 2, along with Drinkwater. And then more defensive types, I'm going to go with Conte and Albrighton. I think I'll put Albrighton in the primary position to start. And Conte there in position 3. Like I said, going to leave those guys on my bench and then get our 4 defenders set up here. I'm going to go with these 4 defenders. We're going to start with putting Morgan and Huth in my position 4. We'll put Huth first and Morgan above him. One factor in that I'm looking at is both of them have a shot star. Simpson and Fuchs have scissors on their shot, so thinking a little more offensive, that Huth and Morgan are a little more offensive type players. So we'll put them in position 4, and then Simpson and Fuchs are a little more defensive types, or center backs, if you will. We'll put them in position 5. And then, again, these 2 guys will be on the bench. Premier League rules, and really most leagues allow you to field a bench of 7 players, one of which is typically a goalie. Kind of along with this method, I require anyone that passed or made the starting lineup pool. If you don't select them, they have to be on your bench. So I'll make sure that King and Schlupp are on my bench. And then I have 5 additional players here that I need to choose 4 of for my field player bench. Leicester City only had 1 carded goalkeeper in Kasper Schmeichel, so I'll pretend there's a young player on the bench to be his backup goalie that unlikely to ever come in, but I guess if we get to that, we can always go back to the real life lineup and kind of fill out who filled out that role. Typically means they didn't play much, if at all, that season in Premier League games. So definitely going to keep Okazaki on my bench. Too powerful to leave him out. We'll go Gray and Delat. And then I think I'm going to go with Dyer, just he's a slightly better. Both have 3 qualities, but Dyer's got some better shooting and assist star. So these 6 guys, as well as the backup goalie, who don't really need a name unless he comes into play, will make up my bench. I just set them here under Kasper Schmeichel, and Inler won't be in the 18, if you will. He'll be up in the crowd watching today's game. So that's really about it for one team. We'll kind of repeat that process here for Stoke City, and then kind of give you another glance at it. So again, just starting by separating all the players with their start ratings. And this again comes from the rules and really is based pretty strong statistically when you look at where those ratings came from, without giving away Keith's secrets too much. If you get the rating guide, how the start rating is determined comes off the percentage of games that they start in real life, and this really method goes in well hand in hand with that. I should mention that if any players were injured or on red card or yellow card suspensions from previous games, the injuries, of course, comes up through the game itself. You kind of have to add in your own red card, yellow card suspension type rules. I use the real life rules. If you get a red card, you're out. The next game, if you pick up 5 yellow cards throughout the season, you sit out a game, and those kind of suspensions add on. So if you get a second red card in the season, you're out 2 games, etc. So, but for this game, nobody was injured or had any suspension, so they're kind of all put out on the table to start. Again, all those with check pluses, that means they started every or virtually every game in real life, so they're good to go. Don't need a dice roll on them. And then here's my check guys. We'll just start rolling dice one by one for them. Here's Shaqiri. So he got a 3, so he's good to go. Bojan got a 2, so he's good to go. Diouf is a 3, he's good. Getting 1 to 5, and these guys are good. So Wolfchild rolled a 6, so he'll not be eligible to start. We'll move him over to the side. Jonathan Walter's good to go. Glenn Johnson got a 6, so he'll have to be on the bench for this one. Ibrahim Afellay got a 6 as well. Jeff Cameron got a check. Jack Butland, our goalie, he's good with a 1. Now moving on to the blank guys. Again, a 1 to 3, and they're eligible to start. Van Ginkel, he's all right. So he passed. Mbula passes with a 3. Shawcross passes with a 3. Joselu passes with a 2. Charlie Adam passes with a 3. Muniesa passes with a 2. So all those guys in that pile are so far so good. Now moving on to the X ratings. Again, they need a 1 in order to start. So Ireland does not. Bardsley gets a 6. He does not. Shea Given got 1, so he's eligible. Peter Crouch with a 5, no. And Jacob Haugaard, another goalie, with a 6. So no on all these guys. This pile over here to my left, they are eligible. So again, going to kind of sort it out by position. Just helps me kind of determine what the manager, if you will, has to choose from for the day. I put the multiple position guys kind of down below. All right, so first of all, we got a choice at goalie here between Shea Given and Jack Butland. Good way of looking at it is total stars, but sometimes you want to delve a little deeper into it. I'm going to go with Jack Butland, 5-star on target rating. That's pretty good. So we're going to make him our starting keeper. Again, anybody that doesn't pass or doesn't get in your choice starting lineup is kind of quote unquote required to take a spot on the bench. So move our bench players up there. And now just to get an idea how many we have to choose from, I'm going to count them up. So we got 1, 5, 9, 3, 4, 5 defenders. So 14 guys to choose 10 from. And as we're doing this, again, I'm just setting their positions. Let's start with the defenders here. Pretty strong defensive lineup. With these 4 guys, all have squares, so we'll put all 5 or 4 of them in the starting lineup. Again, Peters and Whelan may be slightly better offensively, so we'll put them in position 4. Move all this off to the side here so you can see that. And then Cameron and Shawcross will make our center backs in position 5. Peters and then 4 with Whelan. Okay, so there's our back 4. Now we need some midfielder types. Remember, these players that were both midfielders and forwards could play either. So Shaqiri's a strong player. I'm going to put him in my starting lineup. I think I'll go with Imbula. Got a couple of shot stars. And then here's some forward types. I'm going to bring in Joselu as a forward, along with, say, Bojan as a forward. And then kind of some midfielders will go Arnautovic and Walters. And then, like I said, we've got Shaqiri and Imbula. So those will be our starting lineup. Let me kind of arrange these guys as we go here. We'll put Joselu in position 1 and mark him as a forward. We're going to say Bojan as a forward as well, even though he can play both positions. And we'll say both Arnautovic and Walters will be midfielders today. Again, really only important if you care about what formation a team was in, and then later on when substitutions come into play in determining which colored chips players get and that kind of thing. So we're going to say that both teams are employing a 4-4-2 today. Those numbers, for those unfamiliar with soccer tactic terminology, you start with the number of defenders that you have. That's the first number, then the number of midfielders, and then the number of forwards. So both teams in a 4-4-2 lineup. Remember, I need to set my bench, so all the guys that I chose not to start automatically have to take a spot. So these 4 guys here, along with Shay Given, are automatically on my bench. That's 5. And I try to pick kind of a variance of abilities and positions to fill out the bench here. So might be good to get another defender in there, perhaps another forward, although Diouf can do that. So we'll look through the rest of the cards and see kind of who we want to pick. Glenn Johnson's a pretty solid player there. Be ashamed to leave him out. So I think we'll go with that. And then here's a guy with a triangle, maybe give some offensive punch later. So we'll pick Affalay and Johnson to round out the bench with the other 5 guys. So there's our 7-man bench, again, including a goalie. And in this case, we had one that we didn't choose in Shay Given. So put all those guys underneath there. That's our 7-man bench that the manager can choose from. These guys here will not be playing and watch them from the stands. Can pretend they have a little injury, or maybe just not quite physically fit, or manager doesn't like them, or however you want to pretend it was. But so there it is. There's our starting lineup for the game. I do not move players around from their different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roles throughout the game. Only when substitutes come in do I put a new player into the game, and they take the spot that player was in. I guess kind of my house rule for that. Keeps things simple and moving along. But anyways, that's how we do it here with this method. Fairly simple, pretty statistically sound in helping choose players that have the right number of starts throughout the season. And a little bit of kind of my insight there. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Like I said, I will play this out off camera and post the results and some highlights. I would appreciate the comments. Be sure to hit like it if you like this, share with your friends, all those good things. And kind of a first delve into a little bit of the strategy or house rules that I employ with Soccer Blast. I think I'm going to kind of make that my focus of the channel after we did the first game. It's surprisingly been a couple weeks. Time flies. But anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed that or this little mini broadcast, if you will. I will post some links and would appreciate seeing your comments. Have a great day, everyone.